Hello and welcome back to the Void Century podcast. Ed and Adam here today with episode 11. Unfortunately, we're on break for One Piece this week, so we don't have a chapter to reflect on. But we decided to break it down with a lot of theories and a lot of discussions. And the first thing first, we're going to talk about what is the deal with Kaido's son? He was introduced and referenced last chapter. So, Ed, what are your thoughts on Kaido's son? What's he like? What are his abilities?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, my guess is that he's going to be powerful because he's son of Kaido, and Kaido is top 5 strongest people that we know of in the entire series so far, at least currently alive in the entire series. So I think he's going to be really powerful. I think that there's a good chance he's going to have a devil fruit. If he has a devil fruit, I'm guessing it's going to be ancient zone. So some type of possibly dinosaur related, just because, or maybe dragon related, I don't know, maybe a mythical. But
Mythical. Yeah, I'm totally thinking mythical. What kind of mythic beast do you think it could possibly be modeled after? Like you have the Garuda. Judge was so-called named the Garuda. It's another like big mythical bird in Asian culture.
oh, okay, I didn't know that. I knew Garuda just from Legend of Zelda, Garuda Valley.
Yeah, they all sneak the myths in there somehow. Oh, you know what would be a cool mythical devil fruit to actually see, even though I don't know what its battle prowess would be? Unicorn mythical zone.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I would dig that. I mean, not for Kaido's son, but in general, I would love to see that. That'd be cool.
I imagine it's like a huge support slash like healing fruit.
So there's also like sea serpents, water dragons, like that's a thing. Frost dragons, that's a thing. Even though we haven't really seen much of that here in One Piece.
What if his son ate the Oni fruit? Or what if it's like a giant fruit?
Yeah, that's possible.
Like everybody was speculating about the Oni fruit before Kaido actually ate the dragon fruit. So maybe there is like a Oni fruit.
Yeah, that would make sense to me as well. We still don't know what Kaido is. So like if Kaido already like kind of is an Oni being, like an Oni person, a demon person. We don't know, like, it's possible that his son would also naturally be an Oni as well. And probably that would also mean that he's really powerful, just like Kaido is. I mean, the race is probably just a powerful race. Kind of like how, like fishmen are a powerful race compared to humans. I'm thinking Oni are going to be even more powerful if it is a race.
Oh yeah, most definitely. If his son's a demon, with a demon fruit, would he be a double demon?
Well, if he's a demon, he probably wouldn't have a demon fruit, and it'd be more likely it'd be a mythical or ancient zone, like we were initially thinking. But if he isn't a demon, if Kaido isn't a demon, then yeah, I think that an Oni fruit would be very plausible in that situation.
You know what's some cool mythical creatures that I'd like to see Oda throw into the story? I'd like to see him draw from like Native American culture, maybe throw in like a Wendigo or like a Thunderbird.
Oh yeah, that'd be really cool. Or like, what's that other one? I think it's from like like Mayan culture, Mexican culture, like the Quetzalcoatl, something like that.
The Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, so since Wano is Japanese, I'm thinking it's gonna be most likely some type of Japanese mythological creature, if anything, because this is a very Japan prominent arc. So Orochi, sorry, not Orochi. Well, Orochi too. Orochi having like the snake heads and being called Orochi. That's a Japanese myth. But then also Kaido being a dragon. Dragons heavily influenced in Asian culture, Japanese culture. So what other type of Japanese mythological creatures are there?
I mean, you definitely have to check out the other yokai. I would like to see a Kappa mythological zone, but we already have Kawamatsu in the story, so I don't think they'd use like the same demon twice.
There's also, what is it, the raccoon? What are they called again?
The
Yeah,
Tanuki.
Tanuki.
Chopper's a Tanuki,
Oh, is he? I thought he was a reindeer.
but everybody thinks he's a Tanuki.
Yeah, but he's actually a reindeer, even though.
He's actually a reindeer that turns into a human.
But like, yeah, everyone in the world, in universe, are like, oh, it's a Tanuki.
Maybe everybody who knows and thinks that Chopper's a Tanuki is actually from Wano.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so we can also talk about potentially. We went over this a little bit last episode, but Kaido's son could also potentially be either Katakuri, Oven, or Daifuku, just because they're very powerful. We've seen Katakuri at least has very like sharp, pointy teeth, which kind of, I don't know, it's kind of Kaido-esque.
Beastly.
Yeah. So
Well, he also has the issue with his mouth, too. Like, his other brothers look fine. Why did Katakuri get the messed up mouth? And they're all triplets. So it could be like a recessive trait from, like, his dad, i.e. a beast.
yeah, true, true. I'm still not in love with that theory though, just because I want this to be Kaido's son and not Kaido and Big Mom's son. I think that it would kind of make more sense just because we're in Kaido's arc of One Piece.
Yeah, and Big Mom doesn't like to give her kids away. Rip, pound, F in chat.
Yeah, true. So it's still possible that those three are Kaido's sons. It's very, very possible and plausible. But I still think that the son that Kaido was talking about at the end of last chapter is his own son outside of Big Mom.
Yeah, I think he's completely independent of Kaido's previous relationship with Big Mom. I still am of the mindset that he's just the black sheep of the Beast Pirates. Like, he's very strong, but he doesn't want to fight, and he just wants to, like, hang out and do whatever. And I do like the idea that he's of Momo's age, and they're gonna kind of meet up and befriend each other or work with each other in some way.
Yeah, I think that that's very plausible. I can't say for sure that it'll happen, but it would be pretty cool to have your enemy's son being a undercover ally for you, like, after meeting you or something. Like, that would be really cool.
Well, because Momo's now super resolved in his manliness moment to take care of himself and free himself. And you and I both know Momo's not a fighter. So I don't think Momo's going to go like balls to the wall like Luffy would and just absolutely wreck everybody. I think Momo's going to take more of a diplomatic approach. And Momo's a child. So I think it would make more sense that Momo could use his abilities, his diplomacy, to influence a child. Somebody who's of similar age and a similar mind.
Yeah, and it'll really show Momo's leadership abilities kind of budding. Like, we already kind of see it budding, but just even more so. Another thing that I think about with Kaido's son is, regardless of his intentions, his demeanor, or whatnot, he will be used as a way to compare against Momo. So he will mirror Momo in many ways, I think. And I'm thinking that it's going to kind of be like if Momo was raised by Kaido, this is how he would turn out type of situation. Like, that's how I'm thinking Kaido's son's going to turn out, but I'm not, I think that's what he will be used for, I should say, but I'm not really certain.
One of the things that was pointed out a couple chapters ago when Odin passed away at the end of the flashback was Kaido wants to round up the Scabbards and ask them a question. I think Kaido, especially seeing Odin and his feat of holding the Scabbards over his head and surviving the oily pot of doom, I think that Kaido he was kind of enamored with Odin. Like, he was really amazed at Odin's feat and like his willpower and just the strength of character and the strength of the man that Odin was. And I think we touched on this a couple episodes ago, but I think Kaido wants to know more about Odin because I feel that Kaido now has a deep respect for Odin. And I think it would only make sense to see like Momo succeed basically where Kaido failed, i.e. getting through to his own son.
Yeah, we really don't know what Kaido's kind of goals are still. Like, we can kind of guess around it. Like, for instance, he has one of the road poneglyphs, so he might be going for Pirate King. But we don't really know exactly what his motivations are. Even joining in with Orochi, like, originally, sure, we know the motivation was money because Orochi was able to get him a lot of money to hire him as basically his mercenary that became his own. They just kind of developed into a partnership. But why would Kaido accept that partnership? What are his goals? What are his ambitions? It's really not clear yet in the story.
Here's a good question for you though. Do you think Kaido accepted his road poneglyph for service to Orochi. Do you think Kaido's poneglyph is the one that was on Wano? Do you think he got it before he was working with Orochi or afterwards? Basically, was the poneglyph part of the trade, or did Kaido visit Wano once before to claim it?
That's an interesting question. If it was part of the trade, then yeah, that would kind of more so solidify or cement the idea that Kaido is going for the Pirate King title and going for Laugh Tale. But if it wasn't and he just kind of took it, then maybe he's just more of a gatekeeper and a willing gatekeeper almost. Like maybe his goal is to make sure that the next generation has a worthy person that's trying to take on the mantle of Pirate King. I don't think so. Like that seems kind of a stretch to me, just saying it out loud. But yeah, again, we just don't know exactly what his motivations are, so it's just all speculation right now.
So far, the only thing we've seen from him is that he's terribly depressed, on the verge of constant suicide and drunkenness, and that the only thing that he really cares about and his only affiliation with other countries is to gain weapons and more battle power. So we saw it with Dressrosa, we saw it with Punk Hazard, and now we're seeing it with Wano. Every country that's affiliated with Kaido, their primary objective is to feed him battle power and weapons.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you're definitely right, because I think, to my knowledge, Kaido might have the largest army that I know of. He's got the most devil fruits out of any army as well, that we know of at least. And yeah, like everything that we've seen has just been him trying to accumulate power, like other than his being depressed as well, because obviously he's that too. But yeah, everything that we've seen of him is just, I want more subordinates. Like even when Luffy first got there, they didn't want to kill Luffy. They didn't want to take him hostage. They wanted to convert him into being a subordinate. So all of his actions have just been to accumulate power. So that's something that we do know for sure.
Thinking about your whole gatekeeper idea, actually, I kind of like it, but from the standpoint of what if Kaido is a chaotic D? And what if his whole mission is to basically test the next Joy Boy? So he's building up an army, he's building up this battle power, he's gatekeeping a road poneglyph to make sure that there's somebody worthy of being, I want to say, like the reincarnation of the will of Joy Boy, which has already been foreshadowed by prophecies from the Sea Kings and Charlie in the story.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that he's a D personally, just because his demeanor doesn't seem very D-like. He doesn't seem very driven. Because we've seen a depressed D before, which is Blackbeard, and we do know for a fact that Blackbeard is very driven, and he tries very hard to accomplish his goals. He doesn't sleep. He's got his own ethic. Like he does take shortcuts, but he has his sight on the goal, and he's gonna accomplish it. Whereas Kaido, I haven't witnessed that yet. It's not saying that he can't be a D. I just haven't witnessed it yet, so I'm leaning towards him not being a D, just from all the evidence that we've seen so far. But even if he's not a D, it doesn't rule out that he could kind of still be a gatekeeper.
The only reason I postulated the whole D theory is because I don't understand what his motivations for gatekeeping, a road poneglyph and gaining all this battle power without actually wanting to become Pirate King. Because at this point, if Kaido wanted to, he could easily attack Big Mom, take her poneglyph, and do whatever he wants. He knows where Zoe is. He could easily take that poneglyph.
Yeah, I think that Kaido might just have his own sense of honor and morality. Like, he really respects Odin, so he probably wants someone similar to Odin to take the mantle of Pirate King. So I'm thinking that, I think that might be a reason for it, is just that he wants to make sure that the new generation has someone worthy, regardless of the will of D and whatnot. Like, he might not even care. Like, he might not even be knowledgeable of the will of D for all we know. But either way, he wants to make sure that the next Pirate King, because that's the title that he is familiar with, is someone that's worthy of it and someone that can really lead the next generation into, I don't know, like a better generation, better life for everyone. Who knows?
I understand that. I just don't think Kaido is all that noble, though. Like, personally, he doesn't get anything out of it. He's just playing a game that he's so angry at, the supernovas playing pirate games, if you will.
Yeah, no, true. We just don't, again, we don't know Kaido's motivations and inspirations just because yeah, we just don't know. Like he could just not be that noble, you're right. And but we have seen certain morality from him, like for instance him killing the Kurazumi, like the old hag, after she kind of helped him defeat Odin in his battle with him. So he does have some sort of honor and morality. It just might be a little twisted. You know, like we've noticed with even Big Mom that she kind of has her own twisted sense of like utopia, like just her morals, I should say, because she wants one of like at least one of every race to live in her utopia. And like we mentioned before, we thought that maybe the Will of D could be, you know, shared living with all different races, happy living, all that stuff. And hers is kind of like a bastardization of that. So maybe in a similar regard, Kaido has like a bastardization of the Will of D, where he does have some sense of honor and morality. It's just not pointed fully in the right direction.
But what I still want to talk about is what questions do you think he has for the Scabbards, though? Because that's a huge point. Like, what is he writing Odin's autobiography now?
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting what he could ask them. I think that, you know, in the 20 years that passed, he probably regrets how Odin went out. Like Odin did everything that was asked of him. He humiliated himself and accepted the humility with a smile, and it didn't matter because all he cared about was making sure that his people were taken care of. And I think that as 20 years have passed and Kaido reflects on that, he's realizing, damn, Odin was actually legit. And Orochi is doing the opposite. He's literally torturing these people. Like, sure, I'm getting a cool army out of it, but yeah, maybe there's more to Odin than I thought. And I want to talk to these Scabbards and see, you know, what was Odin's ultimate goal? What made Odin tick? And how can I be more like Odin? Maybe, I don't know. Like, it might get to that point where Kaido respects Odin enough where he wants to act more like him a little.
I just think it was funny that you're like, Kaido, he's moral. He killed the Kurozumi lady for interfering in Odin's fight. And then at the same time, he also shot Odin in the head. So, but with that being said, definitely, I think Kaido realizes he messed up in a way with killing Odin. I think he's had to sit around and listen to Orochi squawk for the past 20 years, and that's just made him completely unhinged. But definitely, I think he's got a deep respect for Odin now, like you said, and I think he wants to know kind of why the Scabbards followed Odin, kind of what Odin was like. I also think even if Kaido doesn't have like a good disposition, he could just want to know more about the Kozuki family and the poneglyphs, the ancient knowledge, you know, because the Kozukis are keepers of some of the ancient knowledge. They know, you know, how to write on the poneglyphs. Odin himself constructed poneglyphs. So I think Kaido might want some of that information because, again, Kaido, if you wanted to, he could go out and get all the poneglyphs. He already has one, but I think the big problem with him, as well as many other crews in the New World, is they don't know how to read the poneglyphs.
Yeah, true. It's possible that that's what Odin wants, is someone who can read the poneglyph. That's a good point.
Kaido.
Or sorry, yeah, that's what Kaido wants, sorry. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I didn't consider that, but that makes a lot of sense because if he is trying to become Pirate King and he still has those aspirations, he's going to need to be able to read those things. And now that he has an alliance with Big Mom, he can read hers, and he has access to Zoe if he wants to go there. So like he does have a lot of poneglyphs that he's aware of, that he knows how to get to pretty easily. So yeah, that would make a lot of sense to me, actually.
So maybe that's one of the reasons. But okay, so if that was, again, a motivation for him 20 years ago, he could have kept Momo. Like, he didn't kill Momo. He kind of intimidated him and threw him in the house and left him for dead. But maybe that's why he's going to keep Momo in captive now.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. I think that the Momo thing it might still be related to Momo being the heir to Odin and being a threat to Orochi and also to Kaido's rule, both of their rule. Also, Momo having the dragon artificial devil fruit. So, that's just another thing that makes him more like Kaido, and that's threatening to Kaido's image and brand, because Kaido is the dragon. So that's kind of his brand. So he doesn't want some other like little pink dragon ruining his image.
Honestly, that's one thing I would love to see is just kind of Momo like thrown in the dirt at Kaido's feet, and then Kaido kind of in like black silhouette, and you see him like turning into dragon form, and it's just let me see it.
Totally.
I think Momo's got a huge role to play, but I still don't understand Kaido's motivations or kind of what his endgame is.
By the way, Act 3 still isn't over. This act has been really long. I think it might be the longest act so far out of the acts we've seen. So I have no inclination that Act 4 is going to be short either. It's going to be pretty long. It might not be as long as Act 3, but I think it's going to be a long act, and I think that Act 5 is going to be short. So going back to like the conversation we had a little last week, I think that there's going to be a lot of battle, a lot of backstabbing. There's still a lot of Wano left to be uncovered. Like, I'd say we're over halfway through with Wano. We're probably like at the 2/3 point. Well, yeah, about there, maybe a little over. But yeah, I think we have a lot left with Wano.
Oh, definitely. I think there's plenty left in Wano. I just think it's funny that every time, like for the past 2 or 3 chapters, there's Shamisens in there. So we're like, okay, Oda, get on to the next act, and he's like obviously teasing us.
Right. We just kind of get teased a little with like is Act 4 about to start? I really think that Act 4 still is going to be mostly battle stuff. Like, I think it's going to be long, like a lot of battles, a lot, and a lot of hopelessness happening because we're thinking like, oh no, we're going to lose, and then new people coming in, and it's like, oh, we're going to win, and then new bad guys coming in, like, oh no, we're going to lose again. Like a lot of turns of tide on who's going to win. I really think that like there's just still so much left with Wano, and I kind of want to just go over, if it's all right with you, go over like the different players, like the good guys, the bad guys, and kind of like the unknowns.
Yeah, totally, we can.
All right, so I guess we'll just start off by saying the 9 red Scabbards are, the leaders of the good guy faction. So we don't really have to dive too deep into all of these, just because we've talked about a lot of them enough. But we've got the red Scabbard. I guess I shouldn't say 9 red Scabbards anymore, because there's more than 9 at this point. There's probably I think there's 11 total, not including Odin.
Who's your favorite Scabbard?
Probably between Denjiro and Kinemon right now. Probably leaning towards Kinemon, just because he can talk with his butt.
I just like his new quirk now of him absolutely having no idea what's going on and stealing other people's plans. Yeah. I just love everybody being in on how stupid he is, but somehow it all works out.
Yeah, no, it's a great little shtick happening with him.
I like Kawamatsu too, just for his epic kappa sumo poses.
Yeah, and also Kawamatsu's reveal, just him being in the jail for so long, and he's just like a shadowy figure, and then he comes out and it's just like this Kappa fish man that looks ridiculous. You did not expect it, but it was glorious.
But the thing I love about Kawamatsu is, even though he's gotten like wrecked in the past, and like Hiyori left him and he got captured and had to eat rotten fish for 10 years, I just think it's amazing that he still retains such a positive and upbeat attitude.
Oh yeah, he was very, very positive the entire time. It's pretty awesome, honestly. Knowing that Hiyori's out there with no supervision to his knowledge, and just hoping that she's getting along, because at that point, while he's in jail, that's probably the number one thought he had was, what's Hiyori up to? What's going on with her? I hope that she's alive. I hope she's surviving. I hope nothing's wrong with her. That's all I would think about if I was in his position.
But remember, we also got Kawamatsu's backstory too. Remember, his mom was a fishman. They washed ashore on Wano, and she was she had a sickness and she died, and then all the other people started terrorizing him because he thought he was a Kappa.
Yeah, it's really sad.
And now look at him now. He's protecting the royal family, man. All right, so next faction, we have the Straw Hats. I mean, obviously, they're the Straw Hats. We don't need to talk about the Straw Hats. We talk way too much about the Straw Hats already. But I love the Straw Hats. Nakama forever. All right, so we have the Heart Pirates too. Again, we know who Law is. We know Beppo, Sachi, Penguin. We know them all. I can't wait to see them. I love Beppo's new Wano outfit, though.
It's so
I
cute.
love him. Beppo in a kimono with a top knot is
Beppo
dope.
is the cutest. Then we got the Kid Pirates, who this one we haven't really seen their battle prowess too much. This is the first time that the Straw Hats have really been allied with the Kid Pirates. So yeah, all we really know is Kid kind of has that like magnetic ability with his devil fruit that kind of gives him magnetic, like almost like Magneto type powers, but not to that extent. And then also we have, what's his like first mate called again with like the sword? Oh yeah,
Killer.
yeah, with the laughing Killer. And I think Killer's gonna have some really cool fights. I'm more excited about Killer than I am about Kid this arc personally, to see like how he battles, just because so much has happened with Killer that he deserves kind of his moment.
But we saw Killer already got one shot by Zoro. Too weak for sure. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, Killer's a supernova. He should be mad strong. Kid's mad strong too. We've only actually ever seen Kid do like 2 attacks. So it's gonna be great to see him. Like, we have absolutely no real idea of what his crew's capabilities are. We just know that he's got a magnetic devil fruit that's never been officially named. And he lost an arm because he talked crap about Shanks.
So the next group that I want to talk about is Nekomamushi, because we don't know. Like, all we know is he went out to grab help, and we've already mentioned before, but we're thinking that the most likely faction that he brings is going to be one or more ship from the Whitebeard fleet. Most likely being Izo, just because like they're both Scabbards together. B, they both were on Whitebeard's crew together. And yeah, so I think that between those two, it makes the most sense for Izo's ship to be coming. Yeah.
Izo's ship is a coming. So at least in my headcanon, the way I imagine Nekomamushi showing up is in like Sulong form, and I imagine he turns into a skinny but a large cat. I think he's going to bring the Whitebeard crew. Again, last time we saw him, he was on the search to go ahead and get Marco on the crew. So I definitely think Izo would show up too. Maybe Jozu. There's still plenty of Whitebeard pirates that we haven't seen yet. Whitey Bay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then we already got Jinbei, but it's possible that he might have Fishman come in later down the line. We're not sure. But yeah, it's a possibility.
I think Oda might have assuaged the thoughts of the Sun Pirates arriving, because Jinbei's like, yeah, we had to treat their wounded and then we had a goodbye party. I don't know if Jinbei would necessarily say goodbye and then reunite with them so soon.
Yeah.
But I would like to see them again. Aladdin is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm not leaning towards the Fishman coming at this point either. And then the final good guy faction that I've thought up of so far, at least, is the Grand Fleet. Not much more to be said other than the last time we've seen them all together was at the Dressrosa arc when it really first got formed. So yeah.
So the way I see it is, I don't think the whole Grand Fleet's gonna show up. I don't necessarily know if Orlumbus needs to show up with like his 4,200 ship, but I do think a few of the key players would show up, maybe like Bartolomeo and Cavendish.
Yeah, I mean, I love both of them, so I would always be happy to see more of Bartholomew and Cavendish. So yeah, I'm all for it. I don't know if it'll happen. Would be more than welcome for it to happen, though.
I want to see Barto freaking out over the Straw Hats' new outfits, and something about me just wants to see like Cavendish and his horse with like roses underneath the cherry blossoms.
Parto just being like, oh my god, look at Chopper. He's so cute in his little samurai outfit.
And then you got Frankie over there in like the Kabuto helmet, like
so
changing
cool.
his hair and
Yeah.
stuff. Super!
Okay, so we can start going over the bad guy faction. So we got Kaido's Beast Pirates, and they're kind of broken up between the Gifters, the Headliners, the Numbers, the Flying Six, and then we got the King, Queen, and Jack. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say one of the interesting things that I pointed out is that, so in all the Yonko crews we've seen thus far, the strongest members in the Yonko crew that we've seen have been the commanders, and those have primarily been, you have like fodder fighters and then you have like commanders. But so the Beast Pirates actually have the Flying Six, which are a named force too. So definitely ones to look out for.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we know a little bit of how powerful X-Drake is going to be just because he's part of the worst generation, he's a supernova, so he's going to be strong. Like he probably won't be Luffy level, but I could totally see him being Law or Kid level. Probably more Law level than Kid because I think that Law is probably not as strong as Kid.
Page 1 was pretty strong too, but think of like the Flying Six plus the headliner or not. So the commanders, King, Queen, and Jack. 9 fight the Straw Hat.
You know, I'm thinking about it. X-Drake is probably around Sanji level or just stronger than Sanji level.
Page 1 was Sanji level.
Then yeah, X-Drake is stronger.
The thing that X Drake has going for him is that X Drake is a supernova, and the only other supernova on the crew of the Straw Hats was Zoro.
Right.
Sorry, Sanji. Right. Love you, but you're just not that strong to the world government.
So yeah, he could potentially even be Zoro level. But yeah, either way, well, no, because Zoro's weaker than Luffy, so yeah.
Drake's strong for sure, but he's also part of another faction that we should talk about a little bit later. But you have Orochi's forces too, so he's got Kanjuro, potentially other allied family members that we don't know about, and we have Fukurokuju. And
yeah, wait, backing up to Kurozumi. Yeah, so normally I wouldn't even suggest that. Just the fact that we've had 3 secret Kurozumi revealed already makes me think that, like, okay, we gotta at least speculate that it's a possibility because, yeah, normally it's bad storytelling to just like introduce people out of the blue like that. But just the fact that we've already had it happen 3 times, this act, not even this arc, this act, it has to leave open for the possibility that other Kurozumi might be hidden in the mist. Like it was a fairly large clan in its heyday, so I'm sure that not every single Kurozumi was annihilated.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. If, you know, some other Kurozumis popped up in the woodwork, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just one of the tropes, unfortunately, of a family that's been hunted for the past 20 years.
Right.
Speaking of Kanjuro, though, I think he could be redeemed. I like to think that Kanjuro, at the end of the day, will actually take his makeup off.
Ooh, and stop. Oh, I love that. Yeah, and stop being an actor and actually just being himself and living the way that he wants to. I can totally see that, yeah.
Bingo, bango, bongo. Yeah, I'd like to think that would be like the redemption because we have to know that the Kozukis and the Kurozumis need to make amends in order for Wano to succeed. Unfortunately, you can't wipe out the Kurozumis. You already tried that, and look at where it got you.
Right, exactly. So, it would just be history repeating itself if they tried to annihilate him. So they got to work with him, and who better than a former Scabbard who knows exactly who the other Scabbards are. Like he knows that they're all honorable, decent people, and I would totally be able to see the Scabbards being able to forgive Kanjuro, even though, like, yes, like they're really mad right now, and Kinemon didn't even hesitate to kill him. Down the line, like I could totally see them, you know, forgiving and forgetting just because they have such a large, strong history with each other, and who better to lead the Kurozumi faction than someone who knew Odin personally and lived and loved Odin personally because, or at least acted like he loved him because, yeah, they just have such a long time together.
I think Orochi and Kanjuro are going to go ahead and have a falling out. Orochi is drunk and the rebellion is still on. Kanjuro failed at quashing the rebellion, even though he brings Orochi Momo. I feel like Orochi is going to blame Kanjuro for his failures.
Yeah, I could totally see that too, because Orochi is definitely the type where when things are going well, he loves you, but if things go poorly, he will dump you. Like, I can totally see him being that type of person. Another thing I want to talk about with Kanjuro is how strong is he? Like, he's gonna be pretty strong. I think that he's probably commander level for, like, Big Mom's crew. If we want to have like a reference, so like maybe like Cracker level or possibly even Katakuri level, just because I think all of the Scabbards are about that level of like a commander in Big Mom's crew. So we know that he's already clashed with Kawamatsu. Just some of the different feats that we've seen recently is he clashed with Kawamatsu pretty easily, like there was no issue. We also know that his ink clone immediately got owned by Kinemon. So we're not sure if that's just because Kinemon is that much stronger than Kanjuro, or the fact that the ink clone was caught unaware, he didn't expect it, or the fact that it's a clone. Like in other series, like, sorry for saying this again, but Naruto, we know that shadow clones or water clones aren't necessarily as powerful as the original, the master. So we can say with relative certainty that the ink clone will not be as powerful as Kanjuro. So yeah.
I like to think that Kanjuro utilizing his hair as a brush is going to bring a lot more power into the story, at least for him. I also like the idea of, so the main fighting force right now, at least for the fodder characters, are just the Beast Pirates, just random no-name Beast Pirates, even some of the gifters, right? I like to think that Kanjuro will go ahead and like bolster those forces with like an army of clones for Orochi's side. I definitely think Kanjuro is strong, but due to his fighting style, I don't think he's like a physical brawler. I still lean towards the psychological aspect of his fighting, and I think he's also well versed in crowd control, as we saw with his arrow attack.
Yeah, he might not be like super physically strong, but he can still like hold his own against other Scabbards. I don't think he'll like immediately die to them. Like aside from Kinemon or Denjiro, he probably would be able to, or maybe a Doji too. I'm not sure. Well, I'm not sure. Like he's probably like for sure he'll be stronger than what's her name? The girl ninja. Yeah.
Kiku?
No, the girl ninja.
Or Shinobu?
He'll be stronger than Shinobu, but like I don't know. I'm still thinking he's probably gonna be one of the weaker of the Scabbards, like if we were to order them. Like I think Ashura Doji is gonna be stronger, which means that Inu and Neko are gonna be stronger because they're about Ashura Doji's level of strength. But yeah, I think that being all said, I still think that like if Ashura Doji and Kanjuro clashed, like Kanjuro would be able to hold his own for a while. Like he wouldn't immediately lose.
Oh, I do too. I was just commenting on his battle prowess not being necessarily physical, but psychological.
Yeah.
That's just his preferred fighting
No,
style.
I agree with that.
It doesn't have any...
And it also fits with Kurozumi, because they're just kind of not head-on type of people.
Yeah, they're kind of just brooding.
Yeah.
Kind of like Blackbeard. But, so, away from Kanjuro for a second. So, what's the deal with Fukurokuju? We know this guy is captain of Orochi's Ninja Corps. He even worked under Odin's father for a while and just completely turned coat. He has also been commented to be one of the strongest ninjas.
Yeah, so we know that Raizo commented saying that Fukurokuju is his greatest rival. At least 20 years ago, he easily apprehended Shinobu, so we know that. And he's probably only gained strength. He has a sword, so he's going to be a sword wielder. Yeah, and then also he is the leader of the Onyo Abanshu, so he's kind of got his own force backing him as well. I really think that at least in the battle, the final battle of Wano, it's gonna be Fukurokuju versus Raizo, and possibly Shinobu joining in, just because that would just be the most poetic and most fitting battle for them.
Alright, so first comment on that. I just think it's interesting that all three shinobi that we know are terribly ugly.
Are terribly what?
Ugly. So Raizo and Fukurokuju are just ugly as heck. So all the female kunoichis don't even take a second glance. And Shinobu, who was pretty in her heyday, is now she's looking pretty old. But I do like the idea that Raizo and Shinobu are going to team up to fight Fukurokuju. And I think towards the end, with like their teamwork, their one-on-one teamwork, I think they're going to develop like a bond or an affection between one another.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
Because like Raizo's whole character motivation is that he can't get a sexy kunoichi girlfriend. But I think that Shinobu knows he's a good man and he's a great ninja, and by working together and loving Odin and having similar ideals, they could develop an affection between each other.
I ship that.
Oh, what is this, a shipping podcast then?
I ship that.
Yeah, I ship it too. Ship it out. So, one of the other people that might actually show up, one of the other bad guy factions, quote unquote, Blackbeard, do you think he's going to show up? I think the last time we saw him was on Baltigo. Remember, he destroyed Dragon at Baltigo. So, we have no idea what he's doing now.
Yeah, I don't think so, just because it's too early for him. He's going to be like the big bad, like one of the final bad guys that they fight. So I'm not leaning towards him coming, even though there's a possibility. If if Blackbeard shows up, it might just be one of his subordinates, not just Blackbeard, because we've seen in the past with like Dressrosa arc, he had one of his subordinates come and kind of be his avatar and representative, and well, mostly trying to get devil fruits like the what was it called, fire fruit,
The
yeah,
Maranomi. I do like the idea that that Blackbeard would send an envoy. However, I think the potential to get the strongest zone fruit would be too tantalizing for Blackbeard.
Yeah, true. No, that's a good point. Obviously he wants powerful devil fruits, and mythical zone, ancient zones are all very powerful. Like Kaido in general has some of the most powerful devil fruits under his belt just because he just collects them, and Blackbeard I'm sure is eyeing them. The only thing is that, as we know, the Yonko kind of have their own turfs. So, like going on Kaido's turf openly like that would be a major breach and potentially cause a turf war between two Yonko. And I'm just not sure if Blackbeard is ready for that yet. And he might be. It's possible, but we just don't know well enough. And we haven't really seen any indication that any of the Blackbeard pirates are already on Wano, so like I'm leaning towards nobody will show up from the Blackbeard pirate crew, but I'd still like to. It's still worth talking about just because there is a possibility.
Okay, so first things first. Katarina Devon has a devil fruit based on the kitsune, the nine-tailed fox, Japanese mythical zoan. Notable things about this particular fruit is it can shapeshift into anybody, so she could already be on Wano and we would have no idea. Again, it would be fitting considering she has a Japanese mythological zone fruit. We know that Blackbeard has the strongest Logia and the strongest Paramecia. It would be only fitting for him to have the strongest zone as well. Blackbeard himself is also an opportunist. Kaido is going to get crushed this arc, as we already know, due to the plot armor of the Straw Hats and just the general flow of the story. I think, like Marineford, which this arc parallels a lot, Blackbeard's going to show up while Kaido is in a weakened state, steal his devil fruit, and make Blackbeard even more powerful and even more of a big bad. And the fact is, Kaido could have the last road poneglyph that Blackbeard needs to find Laugh-Tail.
Yeah, no, those are great points. So speaking of Kaido, I kind of want to go over the Beast Pirates a little bit more now. So, we got Gifters, which I don't really want to go over too much other than the fact that they use artificial devil fruits, and they're kind of like weaker versions of devil fruits, and they typically have whatever animal that they ate the devil fruit of. It usually has its own head. So for instance, like there's a guy with an elephant head, or but he has his own head, but it also has an elephant head. And then there's a guy with like a tiger head, or there's like the horse person who has horse legs, but she has human torso, like a centaur. So that's kind of the gifters. And then the headliners are just kind of like the most talented of the gifters. So they still have the artificial devil fruits. Then you have the numbers who...
Hold on 1 second. You also have the pleasures. So those are like the people in waiting for the smile devil fruits, or the ones who have failed smile devil fruits. Those are the ones that are like always laughing and like ravenous.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's a good
continue.
point.
But you also have the numbers.
Yeah, so the numbers, they're still kind of a mystery. All we know, we've only seen their shadows, but all we really know is that they're enormous and they kind of look like Oni shadows, because it marks like the giant skull that's in Oniwabu. What was it called? Onigashima. So, yeah, like they might be just giant demon people, but we don't know for sure. And then we've got the Flying Six, which are basically the upper echelon of headliners. And, you know, they don't necessarily have artificial devil fruits. They might have real ones. Same with headliners, I think, as well. But yeah, the Flying Six are kind of like the cream of the crop. And then finally, we got King, Queen, Jack. I forgot what that rank is called, but we'll just call them King, Queen, Jack.
They're commanders.
Yeah. So,
remember, they also have epithets too. So we know Jack is the drought, and we know Queen is the plague.
Yeah, true. Yeah, does King have one revealed yet, or no?
I'd like to think King is the wildfire.
Oh no, it's King the Conflagration. That's what it was. Yeah, I remember now.
Ooh,
which is similar to what you're saying, but
like
even cooler. Sorry.
Sure.
But yeah, they're obviously going to be massive. Like, we know that Queen's forces are mostly like the prison guard people. And we know that Jack has kind of like a fleet behind him. We're not really too sure of King's forces yet, are we?
No, I like to think that they're like the military police or like the wardens.
Okay, that would make sense. Yeah. So they kind of all have their own like areas where they lead within Wano. So or Onigashima even. Both of them, I guess. So yeah, so that those like obviously King Queen Jack are gonna be the most elite, and then the Flying Six, and those are gonna be the really the biggest hurdles out of the Beast Pirates that the good guys are gonna have to overcome.
Ooh, interesting theory. So notice that the upper echelons of the Beast Pirates themselves are based on like a card deck. So you have like numbers, the Flying Six, so like the top six numbers, and then you have King, Queen, and Jack. What if Kaido's son is Ace?
Ooh, that would be, yeah, I would like that actually. King, Queen, Jack, Ace. Yeah, I would like that a lot because,
Remember, Doflamingo's crew 2 was also segmented by the suits of cards.
and all, yeah, because he based it off of
And
Kaido.
he was Joker.
Yeah, he based it off of Kaido. But if let's say Ace is Kaido's son in a deck of card, or like in poker, I should say, like blackjack or other poker games, the ace can be the highest card, but it can also be the lowest. So it can either be like 13 or it can be 1. And because of that, that kind of plays along with your theory that Kaido's son might have a change of heart and become an ally of Momo or something like that. That would actually lead more credence to it if it was Ace, because it can be your biggest asset or your lowest asset. So your best asset or your worst asset, I should say. So yeah, I think that would be really interesting if he actually was Ace. Like maybe that's not his name, just like how the King Queen Jack, that's not their actual names, right? Or is it their names?
No, those are their
Oh.
actual names. I'm thinking it could be their rank. As it could be his rank
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So maybe he's like, we have the admirals, but then we have like the fleet admiral.
Right, right. Yeah, so I still think that like I like the idea of Kaido's son being Ace because it makes a lot of sense.
Well, one of the other tie-ins too. Think about it too. He could be one of the strongest member on the Beast Pirates forces too, which leads credence to the 13. But the fact that he's like the black sheep and he doesn't really go along with like what they say or like what they want to do. So he might be the most strongest, but his ideologies lead him to be not really an asset because he doesn't fight for them. So his value
Exactly,
is very low.
exactly. So yeah, there's one more person we didn't mention in the bad guy faction that I'd like to go over, which is Orochi himself, Lord Orochi. He, like we've mentioned it before, he's not going to be a pushover. He's going to be pretty strong. He's got a mythical devil fruit, so he's got the snake heads. So he might be like a Hydra where like they cut off a head, because like we're in a samurai setting, so they have sword fighting. So it would make a lot of sense for them to cut off a head, and he's actually like a Hydra where it'll spread out 3 more heads or something like that, or 2 more heads and multiply and make him more powerful. I can totally see that being his devil fruit power. Again, not certain, but yeah, I think he's just going to be really formidable and definitely stronger than Conjuro. Definitely stronger than most of the Scabbards even.
Oh yeah, Orochi for sure. Like we speculated in the past, I definitely think he's going to fight a lot of people at once. I don't think that it's going to be a one-on-one fight between anybody to take out Orochi. Honestly, after thinking about it, I'd like the thought of Hiyori striking the final blow on Orochi and Momo striking the final blow on Kaido.
Yeah, I would like that just because.
Ame no Habakiri. So Momo gave up Ame no Habakiri temporarily because he didn't feel like he was worthy enough of it. We know that Hiyori gave Zoro Enma, but it could be fitting that she would utilize Ame no Habakiri in whatever final fight she has currently, because Momo's been captured, so he has no way of getting the blade nor wielding it. Unless maybe it came from Hiyori and maybe it already has Orochi's blood on it.
So going back to the Flying Six, so we need to talk about like the fights for the Straw Hats possibly with the Flying Six, like or who they actually will fight, because obviously there's 6 Straw Hats and 3 commanders, so there's gonna be 9 total opponents, possibly 10 if you include Kaido's son, who's potentially Ace. So yeah, there's like, so Straw Hats, there's 10 Straw Hats now, I believe, now that Jinbei's a part of it. And obviously, if the Straw Hats are gonna fight, it's likely that I don't know. I feel like it'd be Luffy that would fight one of the commanders. I feel like Luffy, Law, and Luffy, Law, and Kid are gonna be the ones that fight the commanders. That makes the most sense to me. And I think that Zoro might fight some of the Flying Six. I'm not sure, but we do know that Drake is part of the Flying Six, and he is part of Sword as well. So will he be a Turncloak? We're not sure. Or sorry, well, this is the same thing. Yeah, well,
I would like to see Sanji have a second match with Page One and actually get a final fight. And believe it or not, I'd actually like to see Jinbei fight Jack based on their powers. Jack absorbs water, whereas Jinbei utilizes water.
ooh, yeah, that's a really good counter. I agree.
In terms of Sword, though, so
We have a couple of unknown factions that are currently on Wano that we don't know if they're going to be fighting for the good guys or the bad guys. So, transitioning into Sword, the first unknown faction is Sword, and we know that X-Drake is a member. So, he's a member of both Sword and the Flying Six. So, he's kind of like special ops for both factions. But Sword, we know, is backed by the Marine, and they're kind of like the Marines that, so first off, it's just a recap. Sword is an undercover Marine operation that the majority of the Marines don't even know. The world government is unaware of it. Only few select Marines that are likely in Sword know of Sword, and we're speculating that people like Kuzan and Garp and even, what's the Buddha guy's name?
Sengoku. So the whole idea behind Sword is they're like rebellion sympathizers. So even though they are part of the Marines, who are an extension of the world government, they don't agree with the world government and their actions. So people like Smoker, possibly Tashigi, Sengoku definitely, people like Aokiji, Kobe, Helmeppo. So those are people that could potentially show up. Kobe could show up on Wano. We saw that he was in contact with X-Drake. So it's possible. We know that Kobe was escorting ships to and from the Reverie, and we haven't seen him since. So it's possible he could show up on Wano. I believe they would ally against Kaido.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, like you said, they are rebellion sympathizers. So they see that Kaido, like obviously there's a lot of wrong being done. I'm sure that X-Drake has reported on all the smiles and basically using the entire country to experiment on their population to garner all of these different devil fruits. So yeah, like I'm sure that Sword is anti-Kaido, anti-Orochi, and I really think that they're going to, at least X-Drake is going to turncoat and join the rebellion side of things and not fight.
Yeah, I like that idea. I like the idea of X-Drake kind of revealing his true colors, and then Luffy would kind of have three supernovas actually. No, a crap ton of supernovas underneath his belt. He'd have Killer, Kid, Law, Zoro, and X-Drake, so that's five.
Right, yeah. And then there's also the Straw dude, the Scarecrow dude.
Hawkins, yeah, definitely. But I don't necessarily know Hawkins' disposition. I only know that Hawkins will do whatever has the most probability of survival or success.
Yeah, so because of that, he might turn cloak as well. Because
yeah, I think once Luffy amasses like enough forces under him that the cards change and Hawkins see that Luffy can potentially win the battle, I think Hawkins is going to turn immediately. I think somebody like Apu is going to be absolutely decimated.
Yeah, Apu's definitely. Oh, we didn't mention it. He's also a headliner, right? Him and Hawkins.
Yeah, he's underneath the Beast Pirates right now. But Apu himself, I think, because his allegiance necessarily to the Beast Pirates has never been specified. All we know is that he formed an alliance with the Kid Pirates and with the Hawkins Pirates. And Kaido, fell out of the sky, and we come to find out that Apu starts calling Kaido Lord Kaido. So we have no idea what the whole implications behind those are. Or that is either. But I do find Apu to be pretty weaselly, so he could be in it to save his own skin. But I think the fact that he betrayed Kid's just gonna leave him absolutely decimated.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the feet again of the Flying Six, and It looks like Apu actually might be one of the Flying Six.
I don't necessarily know if that's possible because he has a paramecia fruit.
I'm just basing it off of the shoes.
Yeah, that's totally something to think about. That looks pretty plausible.
It's not 100% though. Like it's very possible it's not Apu as well. It's just a possibility. But either way, he's definitely at least a headliner.
Most definitely. But currently, the only two members of the Flying Six that we actually know have ancient zones, and they're both dinosaurs.
Yeah, true, true. I don't think that I don't think that it has to be a dinosaur, but yeah, so far that's the case, and it would be fitting for Kaido's crew, obviously. But yeah, I don't think that it's that we should limit it to that just because we don't know for sure. But yeah, either way, I think that Apu will make an appearance in the last fight. And he's not going to be a turncloak. He's going to be someone who stays on Kaido's side and likely get owned by Luffy and the allied forces.
Yeah, I think Apu's gonna get wrecked. But the other members of Sword that might arrive, again, I know I keep talking about this, but I still think that Tashigi and Smoker are gonna arrive. Smoker is definitely of the mindset of somebody who would be employed by Sword, given his history with Alabasta and Punk Hazard and all his other run-ins with the Straw Hats. And Tashigi herself might have connections to Kuina, and she's the sword geek in the story, so I think it's only fitting she could finally travel to the land where her beloved swords are being produced.
Yeah, and also with Kuina's reveal of being, I forget the family. Yeah, being a Shimotsuki, it makes it even more likely that Tashigi has roots to Wano just because she looks just like Kuina. So I'm thinking that Tashigi, there's a very strong chance that she's a Shimotsuki as well by blood. So yeah, I am more and more leaning towards her coming to Wano as well, with Smoker obviously, with Sword. Like it's so fitting that she would come as an agent of Sword with Smoker in my mind.
Well, if the timelines add up, do you think it's possible that Tashigi could actually be Yasuie's daughter?
No, I think that it's more likely that she is. Well, is Yasuie the same family?
Yeah, Yasuie is a Shimotsuki.
Then yeah, I think it's possible. Yeah, I think it's possible that she's related to Yasuie. I think that she's a Shimotsuki though, either way. So maybe even if she's not directly like his daughter, she's still related. Like he might be her uncle or something like that.
Yeah, most definitely.
So then the next unknown faction we can move on is CP Igus Zero, who we've already seen is on Wano. How many members did we see?
I think we saw 3 of them. If I remember, we didn't see Rob Lucci. We saw Kaku and we saw Spandam. I don't remember who else we saw. But remember, they always wear like the masks.
Oh yeah, true. So CP0 we know is backed by the world government, and basically we know that the world government is kind of like the big bad. They're the ones who are perpetuating the Void Century and the Celestial Dragon being in control. So they're pretty much bad guys. So I think it's safe to assume that CP0 is going to ally on the side of Kaido and what's his name? Orochi, yeah. So also another thing is Stussy is the Empress of the Underworld, and she's part of CP0. So yeah, so I think that they're just all about keeping the underground active and fruitful for them. So it just kind of shows that the world government is not above doing illegal things, like illegal to their own rules, even to make their power go stronger. And yeah, like they have control of the underworld already. Like the world government already has control of the underworld. Like they're just pretty awful. I don't know what else to say about that.
I think the control of the underworld perpetuates their goals at the end. We know that the celestial dragons participate in slavery. The underworld needs to exist for the slave trade to exist. And I think it just goes all the way to the top. All the betrayal, all the unknowing. As we see, the celestial dragons think they're kings, but they have no idea that they have a king that actually manipulates them and the rest of the world by proxy.
Yeah, another thing is the world government government probably wants to keep Wano's borders closed, which is the opposite of the Red Scabbards goal, as well as the Straw Hats goal, which is to open the borders of Wano. And the reason that the world government wants to keep the borders closed is because they know that if the borders are closed, then Wano can't help Joy Boy, and that's what they really want to stop. So this is a really big battle for the world government's from the world government standpoint as well, because Wano's borders opening and being overthrown and being under control by Momonosuke again is going to be a big blow for their end game, which is to control the Void Century and make sure that Laugh Tale is not found again.
I mean, the CP Aegis Zero could be the whole reason of the disarray in Wano to begin with. I mean, we have no idea. Orochi's grandparents, the other Kurazumi members, could be members of CP Aegis Zero, and we'd never know.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I think the whole reason CP Aegis Zero even wants to have anything to do with Orochi is the fact that they want to be able to keep an eye on Wano. If the borders are open or closed, it doesn't have any matter to the world government as long as they have influence there.
Yeah, so I think that kind of wraps up CP0, unless you have anything else to talk about.
All I want to say is I definitely like to see Rob Lucci versus Luffy Part 2.0. I want to see Hatsuri in a kimono fight Beppo.
Oh man, if Rob Lucci fights Luffy again, I think that he would just get just completely wrecked. Like it wouldn't even be. I don't think it would even be a competition. I think Luffy.
You know what we never even thought of? What if Kaido recruits Lucci?
I think that Lucci and Spandam and all of CP Aegis Zero are so involved with the world government. Like even after Luffy beat them, they stayed with the world government. So they didn't normally when Luffy defeats you, you kind of get a change of heart and become better people. But they went from CP9 to CP0. They went to an even stronger division. So they kind of doubled down. And
I think Kaido would want to work with. I think Rob Lucci would want to work with Kaido based on just sheer bloodlust.
Oh yeah, I mean obviously Rob Lucci would kind of fit in with Kaido just because the type of devil fruit that Rob Lucci has really vibes well with Kaido and the Beast Pirates. I just think that from Rob Lucci's perspective, he already kind of has everything that he wants. He has access to both sides. He's got access to both the world government side of things, and he also has access to the underground side of things. So it's what more could he ask for? What more could he get from Kaido that he's not already getting from the world government?
What if Kaido teaches him how to awaken his devil fruit?
Yeah, true. But I think that that type of knowledge can be learned from the world government side of things too, because Vegapunk is still technically working for the world government, right? So he would still have some really strong devil fruit knowledge from the world government side of things, where he won't necessarily need to get it from Kaido.
But Judge does too. I like the idea that the Germa Double Six are still allied with the Straw Hats Pirates, because currently only 3 people in this story that we know about this life energy and devil fruit technology, being Caesar, who's a wackadoodle, Vegapunk, who we've only seen his head, smartest man in One Piece for sure, and Judgy, whose eyebrows are still a mystery to this day.
Yeah.
So,
I do think that I do think that Judge is allied with the Straw Hats for sure at this point.
What I'm saying is Judge would be able to bestow some of that devil fruit knowledge upon them, because we still don't understand what this whole life essence, life energy force is yet, that you can manipulate to make yourself stronger or incorporate devil fruit like abilities into humans.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think that Vegapunk is the one who will know the ins and outs of that. I can't wait for his reveal. I really want to meet Vegapunk down the line. I think that we will meet him down the line, and I think that he's gonna have he's going to tell us all about devil fruit stuff, and we're going to learn so much about the origins of devil fruit and all of that. Who knows, maybe Vegapunk might even be the guy that sat on the throne. What was his name again?
Im-sama?
Yeah.
I'd like to think that Vegapunk is somebody that we already know in the story, but we got hit by a big bamboozle.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it would make a lot of sense if Vegapunk and Im-sama were already allied together. Like that's how far Vegapunk goes, is he goes all the way to the king of the celestial dragons.
I'd like to think that Im-sama knows who Vegapunk is, but I don't think they talk directly. Like I think Im-sama is so far and above like just Vegapunk being a mere mortal. I also don't see what Vegapunk would get out of the world government besides maybe protection. I'd like to imagine Vegapunk kind of being held against his will to create things for the world government to subjugate people, instead of Vegapunk being able to create things for, the common man, to get them out of poverty and to industrialize islands, but peacefully, not like what Kaido has done.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I like that thought too. I think that Vegapunk, either way, I'm just really excited to see him down the line. So moving on, we can talk a little bit about Toki, just because we haven't talked about her in a while. We can maybe talk about, is she still alive? Did she leave anything for her children? And what happened to her devil fruits? So is she still alive? I don't think so. I think that she wanted to die after Odin's passing, like we mentioned in previous podcast episodes. If she was alive, then, did she come back? Is she alive via time skipping, time traveling, or is she alive and she's just really old now, 20 years older? What do you think?
I like to think that she's dead. I'd like to think that she did leave something for her children, if not a letter. Then maybe, since she's affiliated with the ancient kingdom and she's aware of the abilities of devil fruits, she would have made sure to ensure that her devil fruit reincarnated, perhaps by maybe carrying a fruit on her before she died.
Yeah.
And then going ahead and setting a plan for basically what would happen next with her devil fruit.
Yeah, and like we mentioned this in a previous podcast, but I still think that if she did willingly let go of her devil fruit to someone, it would go to Toki, or sorry, it would go to Hiyori, because that, to me, that just makes the most sense. Keep it in the family. Keep it with someone that you trust, someone that wouldn't abuse it. So yeah, I do think that there's still a possibility that Hiyori has the Toki Toki no Mi.
It is possible. Keep in mind, there also might be ancestors of Toki's clan still alive and in Wano today. So like Momo is like distant, like twice removed cousin,
Oh, what was Toki's family again?
I forget her. I want to say like Amatsuki or something.
Yeah, Amatsuki, you're right. Yeah.
Boom.
Good job.
Thanks. But yeah, so like we speculated about Orochi with the Kurozumis as well. They were a big family in Wano that served the Kozukis, just like Toki's family. However, we just know that Toki's family was affiliated with Wano hundreds of years ago when Toki was born. We don't know what like the current state of her family is like, because she's the only one that we actually know in her clan.
Yeah, we don't know any other Amatsuki in the current timeline other than Momo and Hiyori.
Bingo bango. So like the Kurozumis are popping out of nowhere. I think it would be only fitting if Amatsukis were popping out of nowhere. Or maybe they were one of the clans in Wano that were decimated when the ancient kingdom fell.
Or also potentially they could have all been killed off when Orochi's grandfather poisoned all of the retainers, all of the Kozuki retainers.
It makes sense, but like we see with the Shimosukis, like there were still others around to take up the family mantle again.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I still like the idea of her devil fruit going to Hiyori. I'm not 100% set on it, but I like it. I think that it's fitting. I mean, also the fact that Hiyori looks just like Toki is another reason where it could be fitting. There's a chance that maybe Hiyori pretends to be Toki in the future to help inspire the people of Wano, and just pretend that she traveled to the future. Something like that might happen too.
Do you think Toki could have sent her devil fruit itself into the future? So maybe like at a certain period where all hope is lost, like the fruit appears in front of Hiyori?
I don't think so. I like the idea. I just think that how would she do it? Because the only way to pass on your devil fruit is to die, and people in general don't know too much about devil fruits. So like first off, like we're even assuming that she even knows how devil fruits work, and she knows to plan and give it to anybody in the first place. But assuming that she does know how devil fruits work, maybe like a last ditch effort of using her powers putting it in, imbuing it into a fruit and then sending it to the future. I just feel like there's so many uncertainties. Like, how could she even like put it in the right spot, right location? Like, how would she know where Hiyori or one of the retainers would be that she trusts to give it to someone? I think it's more likely that she died, put it somewhere, and maybe even if Hiyori doesn't have Maybe if Hiyori doesn't have it yet, she could have put it in a fruit for Hiyori to consume in a later time.
You know what idea I like that kind of fits along with that? So she passed away, right? But she ensured the reincarnation of her fruit. What if she gave it to the steward guy that we saw testing food for Momo and Hiyori?
Oh, yeah.
We know that he was a trusted confidant of the family, but we haven't seen him. We don't know what happened to
Yeah,
him.
he could actually still be alive. Like the last we saw, he was starting to become an old man, but he could totally still be alive. And we did see him enough where the audience would know who he is, like because he's been introduced. So yeah, I think that that's actually a very plausible theory where like maybe he will come back and be like, Hiyori-sama, like I've been holding.
Your mother entrusted this to me. It is
Yeah.
time. The 20 years have passed.
But like, even if she got it though, it's not like she could use her devil fruit to really turn the tides of the battle because it's like, to our knowledge, you can only jump to the future. You can't jump back. So it's like, even if she could use it, like, what would she do? Jump into the future? Like, what would that do for us?
I understand. Maybe it might be something. It might have ramifications outside of Wano. It might have ramifications with the prophecy.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe there might be another time skip, just which Hiyori and the Toki Toki no Mi facilitate.
For sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't necessarily believe that there needs to be another time skip or that, we need to go through that again. I'm just saying the fruit's still in existence. It has to have some other ramifications in the story other than sending the Scabbards into the future so they could try to rebel against
And
the
I, for one, definitely don't want that fruit to be going into the wrong hands. Like, we don't want Kaido's forces or Orochi's forces to have control of that devil fruit just because then it can be used against the good guys, I guess, in the future, and we don't want
Yes, but I just forgot. We left out one person who is also in the mix here that I would also not like to see be in possession of the Toki Toki no Mi, and that person is Caribou.
Carrot? Oh,
Caribou, the mud fruit guy.
Oh.
Yeah, he's on Wano. What's he up to? What do you think he's gonna do? Who do you think he's gonna ally
I
with?
think that he's already allied with the Straw Hats at this point.
I would love to see Caribou as a takeaway on Kid's crew. So after the end of the day, when all this is over, Caribou goes and parties with Kid.
I mean, they do laugh like clowns, and Caribou's kind of like a clown.
Yeah, and he's got like that sneaky, greasy disposition.
Yeah.
But yeah, Caribou not for Toki Toki no Mi for
And
sure.
also, like, you mentioning that, like, someone who I definitely don't want to get the Toki Toki no Mi is Blackbeard. Because
Oh
would
yeah,
suck.
definitely, definitely.
All right, let's move on to the D, and this is going to be our final talking point for today. This is one of your topics, so I'll let you introduce it.
Oh my gosh. Hold on 1 second. Where do I even begin? Alright, so branching off from kind of my theory about how the D's of the ancient world were comprised of all races, we have actually seen a non-human D in the story, that which being Jaguar D. Saul, who was the giant who befriended and assisted Robin in escaping from Ohara, sacrificing himself to Kuzan, and laughing while dying. So Saul himself, again, non-human D. The only other theories we have or information to suppose that there would be another non-human D is the fact that there is a gigantic straw hat underneath Mary Joie that looks the exact same as Luffy's straw hat. And we know that Luffy himself is a sympathizer against racism. He doesn't see race. He's all for everybody being integrated and free, and we know that that is definitely something that the world government opposes.
Oof, there's a lot to unpack right there. I do think that the D are people who obviously are for world peace, for the betterment of the world, and they want everyone to live happily amongst each other. There's a reason why Luffy gets along with Sanji, because Sanji's dream is to reunite all the oceans. Reunification is a huge concept for the series in general. especially Luffy and the D pirate, like just the will of the D people as well. Like everyone just wants everyone to be happy. If they're like in the will of the D, they want everyone to kind of like live their best versions of themselves, their best lives. So yeah, everything that you say is really supporting that. Regarding the Giants, yeah.
Hold on, hold on. The only other thing I wanted to tie back was I think that it's really poetically fitting that Saul himself, being a D, saved the only one person who could read the ancient knowledge.
Oh yeah. Very good point. Yeah, without Saul, the will of the D might have not continued. Like Saul actually made a huge impact on that because he took literally the last person alive who can translate these texts at all and continue the will of the D. So because of that, yeah, I think that you're right. Saul had a huge impact on that. Yeah. So yeah. We and throughout history of the series, we've seen Luffy like sympathize with minks who are looked down upon, and fishmen who are looked down upon. Skypiea, he helps revolutionize their the
Tontadas.
Tontadas, yeah, Tontadas as well for Dressrosa. So yeah, he's all about liberating all the different races and species on One Piece, in the world of One Piece. So he's kind of living that life, and yeah, I mean, like in real life, like that's really probably what Oda wants too. Like he wants everyone, all different races, to live happily, peacefully amongst each other. He probably doesn't want us to continually be in war like we are. Like that, it's just really a message of peace for the series, and he wants to reflect that in his works, and he wants people to live like the D and be accepting of each other, even though we might have different upbringings, even though we might have different religions, or we might look a little different. At the end of the day, we all kind of want the same thing, and which is feeling loved, wanting to love each other, wanting to love who we want, and living peacefully. Freedom. Yeah.
So, to take it one step further, we know that the ancient race of the D's and the ancient kingdoms have some kind of affiliation with the Kozuki clans, given that the knowledge of the ancient kingdom are carved on the poneglyph, which only the Kozuki clan can construct. I like to believe that the poneglyphs are constructed via haki, armament haki, to make them indestructible. And the way we know that you can imbue items with haki to leave them permanently infused with haki, such as with the Kokuto, the Black Blades, Ryuma actually being the progenitor of that technique. So it could be that the Shimosuke's affiliation with the Kozuki clan itself actually led to the formation of the poneglyphs.
Yeah, I really like that idea. I think it makes a lot of sense to me. We still don't know if that theory can be confirmed yet, but I really like that theory just because it just makes a lot of sense with how Oda's been introducing various abilities. So like we only just learned how black blades are even made. We just learned that black blades are even a thing in One Piece. And yeah, it just really mirrors poneglyphs a lot, it seems like. So we know that like there's no material in this world that we know of that poneglyphs are made out of. So obviously they had to have been created somehow. So it must be your will, it must be your haki or whatever that's really doing that. Like that just fits so well with the canon of One Piece so far, and how everything works in One Piece so far, that that's really starting to become my own headcanon as well right now, because it just makes so much sense.
I like to think the reason why Luffy and Whitebeard and Roger could hear the poneglyphs is just the fact that they are haki sensitive.
Right.
So haki itself is, a manifestation of your willpower. One Piece, especially all the big main players, it's all about your willpower. Okay, so the stronger your willpower is, the stronger you are, the stronger your haki is. So if you're pouring your haki into something, you're pouring your willpower into it, your wants, your needs, your emotions. And other people who are sensitive, who are empathetic, that would resonate within them, and they'd be able to understand it without actually physically having to read it.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, like, I think that Well, then that would mean that people would have to, like, wouldn't have to be able to know how to read the poneglyphs, right? Is what you're insinuating there.
Not necessarily. I think that the chances of being like a hockey sensitive person to that extreme would also be on par with being born in like the third eye tribe. So there are other people out there, people that are unknowns that are hockey sensitive. However, I don't think it's necessarily known far and wide that these people do exist and can hear or read the poneglyphs simply because they're so few and far between, and the fact that a normal person would just randomly stumble on a poneglyph and not be destroyed by the world government is just like that far.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's that
that
statistical outlier.
I think that it makes more sense to my own headcanon that you have to actually be Luffy or someone like Joy Boy ancestor to be able to read the poneglyphs without reading it. So I think
I agree, but we still don't know what made Roger special. We know Roger's special, but we think that Luffy's special because he's like the reincarnation of the will of Joy Boy, but we know that Roger wasn't that because he couldn't get to Raftel on time. He was there too early, he was there too early. He wasn't the one that Joy Boy was waiting for. He's not the reincarnation of the person who's supposed to find Raftel. So we don't know what makes Roger special, but we do know that he could hear the poneglyphs and the Sea Kings. He had the voice of all things, much like Luffy, but he wasn't a reincarnation of Joy Boy.
Yeah, I actually do think that Roger was the reincarnation of Joy Boy, and my reasoning is that he just was born at the wrong time. So, like, just because you're a reincarnation of someone doesn't mean that, like, all of your reincarnations are going to be able to fulfill its destiny, or, like, the main destiny. So, like, he might have just been a reincarnation that was born in the wrong time. Period. Like, not because he's not actually Joy Boy's reincarnation, but because he had bad luck and he just wasn't born at the right time to fulfill that destiny, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand that, and I agree with you to some extent, but I just don't know what the frequency of, like, Joy Boy reincarnating is. It's like Poseidon. Like, we know that there was Poseidon, and now there's Shirahoshi, but they're not mutually exclusive. Like, there's been a couple other Poseidons in between. We just know that Shirahoshi is special because she's the one that lines up with, like, the reincarnation of Joy Boy. So we don't necessarily know, like, the frequency. I don't know if the Sea Kings were talking crap when Roger was born. We just don't
but
know.
like you just said, there were other Poseidon that probably were just like Poseidon, like same demeanor as Shirahoshi, just they were born in the wrong time period, so that they wouldn't be able to fulfill those, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Not premonition. The prophecies.
The prophecy.
Yeah. So I
agree with you. Like, I totally agree with you. I just don't necessarily know if I'm completely 100% on the fact that to have the voice of all things, you need to necessarily be a reincarnation of Joy Boy. I just think it could be a very small percentage, and if you are a reincarnation of Joy Boy, you do have that ability.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, so far, the only people that we've seen with the voice of all things is Joy Boy, Luffy, Momonosuke, and Odin, right? And Roger. But and Odin and Momo have it too. So obviously not.
I don't remember if Momo has it. I think the only feat that Momo ever showed us that could be related to that is communing with Zunisha. But I think he was able to speak with Zunisha for a different reason. I don't remember if Momo was able to feel the poneglyph on Zo.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah, it might not be Momo, but still, Momo is his own prophecy, I think, because he's the one who's holding the will of Odin and the will of Wano.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he might be related to not Pluton, but so kind of like the Sky King. So he's like the keeper of the sky. Whereas Shirahoshi's like the keeper of
that makes sense because their symbolism is the moon, so the moon is in the sky. That makes the most sense that they would be the sky one.
And, Wano's the land of dragons.
Yeah, that too, yeah. Alrighty, well, we've been going on for a long time, actually. Holy crap.
Oh yeah, this has actually been like an extra long episode, so I think we're safe to wrap it up. Again, this has been another wonderful episode of the Void Century podcast. You can find us wherever you find other podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, CastBox. Check us out on Instagram or Twitter at The Void Century PC. If you want to email us, check us out at thevoidcenturypodcast@gmail.com. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and thank you for
Thanks,
sailing.
guys. Bye.